So, my brothers and sisters, the civil unrest in China is getting out of hand. Chinese people are protesting against their leaders. For the past 2 years, we have been on constant lockdowns due to the pandemic, and many countries around the world have realized that lockdowns are not the way forward, so they have decided to stop the lockdowns. But if there's one country that thought that lockdowns are the best thing, that country is China. China has locked down more people than any other country in the whole world. Remember, China is the most populated country in the world. China is also the world's factory. So if China keeps on locking down cities, people can't go to work, people can't do things. And if people can't do the things that they normally do, then they cannot have enough funds to support themselves and their families. And they will be forced to starve. And you know what happens when people are hungry? Protests breaking out everywhere. First, it was in the Foxconn factory, which is one of the biggest factories in China that manufactures about 70% of all iPhones. And now the protest is gradually spreading into other cities. So there is this article that I want to share with you guys so that you guys can understand how serious this whole issue is. There are many videos about the protests in China, but unfortunately, we cannot share that with you guys on this show because of YouTube censorship. So the only thing we can do right now is to share with you guys an article that we found online. So let's see what the article says. The headline reads, Xi Jinping hit by extraordinary civil unrest over his zero pandemic policy. Xi Jinping has been hit by an extraordinary civil unrest in China driven by fear, fatigue, and anger over his zero pandemic policy and lockdown restrictions. China posted another record high number of pandemic infections on Monday after an extraordinary weekend of protests across the country over restrictive pandemic curb in since unprecedented since President Xi assumed power a decade ago. In Shanghai, demonstrators and police clashed on Sunday, with police taking away a busload of protesters, with the BBC saying the police assaulted and detained one of its journalists covering the event before releasing him after several hours. You can see how serious this whole protest is in China. Even in Shanghai, which is considered one of the strongholds in China, is having a severe protest. This is serious. Steve Lynch, managing director of the British Chambers of Commerce in China, told of the protest in Beijing and other cities. So the protest is not just only in Shanghai, but we have Beijing and other cities that are also protesting. Speaking in the Chinese capital, he said, "In my 12 years here in China, I have never seen the levels of social and economic disruption. The extraordinary civil unrest that is taking place at the moment. This is all due to zero pandemic fatigue." He added on BBC Radio 4 Today program, China is now heading to its fourth year of the pandemic, still with the zero pandemic policy, while we are seeing the entirety of the rest of the world live alongside the pandemic. Right now, we are literally seeing images of the Football World Cup in Qatar, where countries from all over the globe are coming together. Meanwhile, here in China, major cities are all heading back into a harsh lockdown. He emphasized that the Chinese authorities had not laid out an exit strategy and there were no signs of normal life in China returning. People are just so fed up, they are scared and they are hungry, he added. Yeah. You know, one thing with humans is that you can push them, but when you push them too far, they will have no choice but to push back. Humans can only take it so much before they reach their limit, and when they get to their limit, what do next? They will fight back. So when people are scared, when people are so tired, when people are hungry, they have no choice but to fight back. And I think China and the Chinese authorities have pushed the people so far. They have pushed them more than enough, and the people are now starting to fight back. Xi Jinping must be very careful because it's easy for an uprising to start. It's easy for a protest to start, but it's very, very difficult for it to stop. So it's always advisable not to let it start in the first place. Because when people start protesting, when people start fighting back, when people start going against the authorities, it's very hard to get them to calm down. It's very hard to get them to back down. We can all draw example from what is happening in Iran, where a young girl was found dead in the custody of the morality police. And what happened next was that people came to the street to share their concern, to make known their feelings. Until today, the protest has only gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. So the Chinese authorities must look for a way out of this current protest in China. Because if they do not, it will get out of control and it will be very, very difficult for the Beijing authorities to really put order in place. But let's continue. While there was no specific lockdowns in Beijing, offices, restaurants, bars, and parks were closed. There just seems to be a lot of uncertainties and fear about what might happen tomorrow, he said. Businesses were also facing more disruption from new rules aimed at easing the restrictions, he added. This is the lowest level of sentiment we have ever experienced from British businesses here in China, he explained. Stocks and oil slid sharply on Monday as a real protest raised worries about the management of China's zero pandemic policies and its impact on the world's second largest economy. While Chinese censors scrambled to remove related images and posts. During the weekend, protesters in cities including Wuhan, Lianzhou overturned pandemic testing facilities, while students gathered on campus across China in actions that were sparked by anger over an apartment fire late last week in the far western city of Urumqi that killed 10 people. The deadly fire fueled speculation that pandemic curbs in the city, parts of which had been under lockdown for 100 days, had hindered rescue and escape, which city officials denied. Crowds in Urumqi took to the street on Friday evening chanting "End the lockdown," according to unverified videos on social media. In Beijing, large crowds were gathered past midnight on Sunday along the capital's third ring road during peaceful but often impassioned scenes. So we can see that this is getting really serious and the Chinese authorities must do something to appease the people. Chinese people have been going through a lot as we from the West are free to move around, are free to do our things. Those in China are under severe lockdowns. They cannot go anywhere. They cannot do anything. So I hope that this protest change things for them. I hope that this protest makes their leaders think twice before locking down the cities. I hope that this protest should create more awareness so that the leaders in China can really understand how much the Chinese people are suffering. But you guys out there, what do you think about this protest in China? Do you think that the Chinese authorities or Xi Jinping will back down from his zero pandemic policy? And do you think that lockdowns have been effective throughout this pandemic? Let us know in the comment section below because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And please, kindly like this video, share this video, leave us a comment below, follow our Facebook page, and most importantly, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Little deeds of goodwill like this one helps the channel a lot, and we shall forever be grateful to you. Thank you very much for watching this video, and like always, see you in the next one, and cut.